previous project risk processes, the risks were identified, analyzed, and prioritized, but no action plans for the risks were established. In plan risk responses, we'll decide on the actions needed to reduce the threat of negative risks or enhance the opportunities for positive risks, as well as developing contingency plans. This process occurs after identified risks have been prioritized, and it will generally focus only on the highest priority risks. It will need to reoccur anytime new priority risks are uncovered or as known risks are reassessed, and replanning may be required if the responses previously planned for risks prove to be ineffective. When discussing risk response planning, there are three different types of risk actions involved. Risk response. The risk response determines the strategy for influencing the probability and impact of the risk before it occurs. For negative risks, its aim is to eliminate the risk or reduce its impact should it occur. For positive risks, the response tries to increase the probability or impact of the risk. The activities that support the risk response are taken before the risk occurs. For example, if the risk response strategy was to minimize a schedule risk, the response activities might be reworking the schedule to reduce the risk factors so that the risk never materializes. Contingent response. Contingent plan. Another type of risk action is called the contingent response, and it establishes what activities will take place should a specific event or situation occur and when those activities will cease. A contingency plan aims to influence the impact of a risk that is occurring. The risk response occurs before the risk and tries to alter the probability and/or impact, while the contingency plan only occurs after the trigger, usually the risk event, and focuses only on changing the impact. Regardless of the primary risk response strategy, a contingency plan should be in place for all but the lowest priority risks, and even those depending upon what objectives they can impact. As an example, consider a schedule risk related to resource contention in which there are only a few people within the organization who can perform the needed tasks. The primary risk response might be to mitigate the risk by splitting the main activity into some subcomponents that a junior staff member can perform. But there's still a chance the senior-level resources will not be able to complete their portion by the deadline, so a contingent response is also established that will kick in should the activity fall behind by more than 3 days. If that happens, then an outside expert will be hired to assist the senior-level team members until the task is back on schedule. Fallback plan. The fallback plan kicks in if the contingency plan fails. It can be looked at as a contingency plan for the contingency plan. The fallback plan spells out steps will be taken to recover if the contingency plan fails, and it specifies under what situations and circumstances it is activated and subsequently deactivated. Plan risk responses. Inputs. Risk register. The risk register is a comprehensive list of all threats and opportunities the project faces. It also contains supplementary data about each risk, including its impact, probability, risk response, budget, risk owner, and contingency and fallback plans. Risk management plan. The risk management plan is a component of the project management plan. It details and defines the risk management activities for the project. The plan establishes the risk methodology, risk roles and responsibilities, risk categories, probability and impact scales, risk tolerances, frequencies of risk management activities and reporting, and the budget and schedule for risk management activities. Plan risk responses. Tools and techniques. Strategies for negative risks or threats. Risk responses for threats are avoid, mitigate, and transfer. Strategies for positive risks or opportunities. Risk responses for opportunities are exploit, enhance, and share strategies for both threats and opportunities. Risk responses applicable to both threats and opportunities are accept and contingent. Contingent response strategies. Contingent responses are intended only if certain events occur. The most common contingent response is a contingency plan, which is put into execution should the risk even occur. Expert judgment. Expert judgment is based upon the experience and knowledge of subject matter experts. It's used to assess and evaluate the inputs and the information they contain, plan risk responses. Outputs. Risk register updates. Risk responses, contingency and fallback plans, and risk action responsibilities are added to the risk register. Risk-related contract agreements. Risk responses may result in contractual elements necessary to put the risk response into action. Project management plan updates. Risk responses will usually require schedule and cost changes to be incorporated into the project management plan. The project management plan details how the project will be executed, managed, and controlled, including many subsidiary plans as to how changes to major project components, such as scope, budget and schedule, will be handled, and how important factors such as communication, risk, and quality will be managed. The project management plan is the key source of information relating to project management for the project. Project document updates. This process will likely result in updates to documents outside of the project management plan. Types of risk responses. There is only a handful of responses that can be undertaken for risks, and it usually takes a combination of responses to successfully influence risks. As a reminder, risk responses are decided before the risk occurs and their aims are to influence its probability and potential impact should it occur. Avoid. Avoidance activities aim to completely eliminate a risk probability or impact to zero. Avoidance can take several forms, such as restructuring the project activities, scope, schedule, or cost to eradicate the root causes leading to the risk. Mitigate. If the risk cannot be avoided, actions might be taken to reduce the risk's probability or its impact if it does occur. A mitigated risk response may still require a contingent plan. Since insufficient planning is the root cause of many project risks, mitigation of those risks can be achieved by more thorough project planning. Mitigation usually involves making alternate choices that can be less than ideal. For example, if the risk is related to an untried technology that provides enormous benefits to the deliverable, the risk mitigation strategy might be to first develop a prototype or proof of concept model. This would involve additional time and cost, and the risk still is not avoided because there's still a chance that problems will arise from the technology when work on the deliverables begin, but the extra effort may significantly reduce the probability. Avoidance and mitigation are not interchangeable terms. If the risk is completely eliminated, then avoidance was achieved, but if the risk's probability or impact is only reduced, then mitigation was achieved. Transfer. Transference assigns all or part of risk to a third party through outsourcing, contracts, insurance, warranties, guarantees, or performance clauses. The risk's probability or impact may not change, but the responsibility for developing an effective strategy no longer resides only with the performing organization. Insurance against property or equipment risk is a good example of transference. Exploit. Exploitation aims to ensure that the risk event definitely occurs so that its benefits can be realized. Exploitation can also take advantage of a definitive opportunity by maximizing its benefits. For example, if a warmer than normal weather pattern emerges during the winter, the opportunity can be exploited by immediately adjusting the construction schedule to take advantage of the good weather. Enhance. If actions can't be taken to guarantee that the opportunity will occur, then responses might be taken to enhance its probability or its beneficial impact if it does occur. Share. Sharing is similar to transference, but its aim is to share the opportunity with a third party who is best able to capitalize on it. Many technology companies establish partnerships with other companies to encourage further development around each other's products. For example, if Company A develops a new memory chip, it may pre-release the chip to manufacturers so that they can work on incorporating the chip into a next generation of handheld computing devices. Company A is sharing a marketing opportunity with its partners. Except for both positive and negative risks, there may be little that can be done except to let things run their course. Acceptance is an option for risks with low probability, low impact, or those that have no reasonable action that can be taken. For example, the negative risk might be that a rare utility problem would cause the co-location facility to lose power, but the probability and impact do not justify the cost of an off-the-grid electric generator. Acceptance of any risk should require contingency and fallback plans, even if done only at a high level for low-priority risks. Contingent. A contingent response involves a contingency plan, which will be put into effect should the risk response fail. The contingent response identifies the exact situation and circumstances triggers in which the contingency plan can be put into effect and when it can be discontinued. This response type is used in combination with another risk response, such as mitigation.